All right, we talked about Ultimate Fighter. We briefly talked about the UFC pay-per-view, which, again, good show. So let's move on to Smackdown here. Not a whole lot to talk about. Should we get a song out of the way first and take a quick break here?
I don't care.
All right, let's take a quick break and play a song, then we'll get moving. All right, here we go.
Black Thor, you the
Logic. The midget. Swaggle. Shillelaghs. The midget. Swaggle. Swoggle.
Swaggy. Swoggle sounds like testicles. Doesn't it, sort of?
That's a great song.
It is a great song.
The internet is not something that you just dump something on. It's not a big truck. It's a series of tubes.
Yeah. Didn't know that, did you?
That's news.
Okay. The Smack of the Down opened with a highlight reel with Dave Bautista, who was going to be facing Undertaker later on. They said that, talked about the whole Shawn deal and this and that, and Jericho showed footage of Shawn super kicking him, and Dave was not happy about Jericho being special referee, so joined the club. And long story short, if you'll recall, Jericho ranted and raved to Shawn on Monday, and Shawn finally super kicked him. Well, the whole thing here was Jericho ranted and raved to Batista, and finally Batista beat the shit out of him and gave him a power bomb. And anyway, I guess the deal is that they want you to think that Jericho could fuck either man at the pay-per-view. So I wish he just wouldn't fuck anybody.
It's really a TNA-rific angle.
Yeah.
TNA books angles such as, for example, who is going to get screwed, which I guess is the same thing here. It's not who will AJ interfere for, it's which wrestler will the referee turn on. And that's no buys.
None. Why can't they just have a match?
I don't know.
MVP gave a face Tommy Dreamer. Tommy Dreamer here on SmackDown. Matt went out to do commentary and was rather boring. I could have sworn Cole said that Matt Hardy had never been a singles champion in WWE. That is a lie, but who knows? Perhaps they no longer count the Cruiserweight title as a title, since it's no longer a title. I don't know. Anyway, Dreamer made a comeback on MVP here on SmackDown. That was also no buys. And anyway, MVP finally got the pin with the Yakuza boot of death into the corner. Awesome kick, and that was that.
I believe, and I could be wrong, but I believe this is the first time he actually pinned someone with that move. Usually he just does it. So hopefully that's his new finisher, because that play of the day thing sucks.
It's a horrible move. Finley gave the midget a pep talk and a pumping up, and the best part was when he held his hand up high for the midget to do a high kick, and then he moved it at the last second, and the midget kicked himself in the eyeball.
Ha ha!
That was actually funny.
What a horrible father.
I thought it was hilarious. You always fuck around with kids, you know what I mean?
Well, I don't have any kids.
Oh, your nephews, you're fucking around with them. Don't tell me you're always nice Uncle Vinny.
Usually it goes the other way where I kick myself in the head to make them laugh.
Oh, see, that's your problem. You need to hold your hand up and have them throw a high kick and they boot themselves in the face.
I'll see if I can work that in there
then
somehow.
You go, ha, 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 you little geek. Yeah. You know how it is.
I'll see what I can do.
I'm going to bury my kids in the snow and throw snowballs at their heads. We had a drop where I said that one time. We were playing it last night when the power went out. We were just going through the drop board on my laptop before the battery died to amuse ourselves. A lot of fun drops we no longer play. Oh, well. And we had the teacher cutting a promo. And, dude, he said, I have a 186 IQ, and I'm going to beat this diminutive man.
Yes.
I don't know if this was just great comedy or if he's an idiot.
It worked either way.
One or the other. I like the idea that if you teach high school history, that automatically means that you've got a 186 IQ.
You're a genius.
You can't just know a little about history, enough to teach 16-year-olds.
I had some teachers in high school who were definitely not geniuses.
So Hornswoggle faced the teacher, all comedy. Midget threw balls at his nuts, sprayed him with water. Then, of course, the teacher started to beat on him for a while and tried to use a shillelagh. The ref took it away, and the teacher said, "Fuck you! He was using all sorts of shit." He had a point, but the ref didn't care, and then hit him with the real shillelagh, or another shillelagh, and the midget hit the tadpole splash for the pin, and a good time was had by all.
Yes, this is every wacky, goofy comedy match you ever saw. The live crowd ate it up. I assume the TV crowd also eats it up, so fine.
Eve interviewed the Big Show about punching the Great Khali, and Show said he didn't want a peace offering, and he said, and I quote, "Offering me a goat and a chicken is not the way to win my affection." So for those of you keeping score, looking for a way to the Big Show's heart, it is not with goats and chickens.
I recommend burgers and fries.
Cake.
Cake.
He said they'd settle their score at the pay-per-view, but tonight he was going to beat up Mark Henry. Chavo and Jamie Noble, they had a match. Jamie Noble looked really great, so of course he lost.
That was a crime.
The new bodyguard, I think his name is Bam Neely, they're calling him. They actually had earlier referred to him as the Human Fence, which we decided would be an awesome gimmick for a man.
Wait, the only question is, should it be a chain link fence or a picket fence?
I thought he should just wrap himself up in chain link.
I wanted to be picket fence. I wanted to have strips of wood hanging from his body.
Just tied around him like a skirt?
Sure,
the Human Fence. He has the personality of a fence, so he's already halfway there. And they also had a great Brian and Vinny moment during this match with Coach
Speaking of
and
his facial
Cole.
expressions, yes.
Yeah.
This was the highlight of the match, unfortunately, but they cut to a shot of Bam Neely, and he was standing there blankly. And Coach said something along the lines of, "Look at his face. You can tell he enjoys this beating Shaw was giving out." And there was an extended silence, and Cole said, "His face is blank. How can you tell what's on his mind?" Coach says, "Well, I know him." Cole said, "You've known him for 2 days. How can you possibly know him that well?" Am I leaving out any details of this?
Well, Coach did what you do. Then he just stopped talking. He was like, "Fine, I won't say anything."
He pouted, yes.
And Coach said he demanded that he talk. This was his job, and Coach would have none of it. Horrible television.
It was very bad.
I was playing the role of Cole, which is even worse.
I was Coach. How do you think I feel?
Well, that's pretty bad, too.
This is no good for anyone involved, and I was going to say it works for our show, but I don't think that's true. But people seem to buy it, so whatever. But it sure as hell didn't work on SmackDown.
And then we had Big Show and Mark Henry in an amazing match.
This is awesome. I don't care what anyone else says.
Long lockups, and then a headbutt battle, and then something resembling a high spot, and then a long bear hug. And then Show hit a choke slam, and Khali ran down for the DQ. They could not beat Mark Henry.
No, got to protect the world's strongest man.
Yeah. This brawl afterwards was so ungodly horrible. And then Khali actually hit him with the tree slam, which looked fine, all things considered.
Sure.
And segment saved. They're going to have a horrible match at the pay-per-view.
It's going to blow.
Anchor actually saw the match tonight in Scotland. They had Big Show and Great Khali on the road.
Yes.
He said, in all caps, "Fucking awesome." I do not know what this means, but I cannot wait to see this battle.
Well, perhaps it's in the same vein where I will tell you that Mark Henry versus The Big Show was awesome. I love this match. I don't care if anyone else did. I'm probably the only one, but just watching these two big guys herking each other around, and Henry, for no reason, before he did the bear hug, he basically put his hands on Show's rib cage, pressed him up a bit, and just turned him around. Just to show he could, because he's that big and strong. And then he just put on the bear hug. And Show sold this bear hug like a king. And I thought, Jesus Christ, I'm watching John Studd and Andre the Giant. And that made me happy.
I just love the idea that they locked up.
Yeah.
Like they were grappling for position to grab a hold.
Yeah, so it was all about technique and leverage.
Sure.
These two Goliaths.
So then we had Victoria and Cherry in Cherry's debut match. She debuted in an Iron Man match, I believe. This went forever. Coach said, or Cole said she was dressed up like she was going to a sock hop, which I'm sure all the 8-year-olds watching this show had no idea what the fuck he was talking about. Victoria beat the shit out of her forever. And finally, Cherry did a reverse rolling cradle and pinned her. Match was bad. Cherry was all right. Her bumps were okay. She sold all right. She got kicked, and such. But bad match.
I've seen many, many worse, but this was no good. And the weird thing was Victoria just beat her savagely. It was strange because every ex-diva you ever see when they talk about who they're friends with, they always say Victoria's so nice. She was not friendly and nice this evening.
Welcome to the business.
Welcome to the business.
We had Vladimir Kozlov against Leroy Kincaid. It was a squash.
They're giving him the Goldberg treatment, where he comes out with no music and no pyro, just a spotlight, and then he kills men. Now, he's not Goldberg, but he looks good. He looks better than he used to. It's the wrong guy, but they're doing it right.
And, for all of you jackasses that say that the only reason that I like Joe and Angle was because they did fake MMA, there was fake MMA in this match. It was so bad. For those of you that actually thought that Joe and Angle did bad fake MMA, clearly you've never watched Vladimir Kozlov. This is fucking bad fake MMA. Joe and Angle was totally fine. In fact, it was very good. In fact, as a MMA practitioner myself. Undertaker and Dave had a match. We had a battle here, not as good as some of their previous battles.
That's for sure.
They did some stuff. Taker worked over his arm. Big superplex. Edge and his geeks were in the front row marking out, which was funny. And anyway, they fought for a long time and were just suddenly counted out. There's your battle. So the Minions hit the ring, then Chavo and the fence. Taker beat them all up with Dave. Edge ran away, and then Vicky came out, screamed at them for putting the company in jeopardy, said Edge, Ryder, and Hawkins were just fans, and so Taker and Dave, by trying to kill them, could have, resulted in a lawsuit against the company. And so she signed Taker and Dave in a rematch for the title next week, and the winner defends against Edge at the pay-per-view. And show was fine.
Match was there, fine. Yes. Coach said at one point that every time Taker and Batista lock up, it's a classic. And I thought, no, it isn't, and the evidence is right there in front of you. But it was fine. It was a show. If you missed it, you missed nothing. If you watched it, you thought it was okay. Let's move on.
They had a good video package for the Undertaker-Dave feud. I'd forgotten how many times they wrestled. So now we can add a bad one to the list.
This wasn't bad. This was just there.
It existed.
It was their worst one.
Well, the sign that said "Spear Vicky back to Eddie" made this a profound thumbs down.
That's lovely, yes.
Yeah, I don't know whose idea that was. Well, the guy holding the sign up, I guess. So, anyway, play a song, and then we'll get to the Extreme Championship Wrestling with the debut of Mike Adamle. Swaggy.